Hello, today I'm going to make a recipe for you, slow cooker brunch casserole. You can make this overnight using low on your slow cooker, or you can use it in the morning for a couple hours, about 3 to 3.5 hours in your slow cooker to make a nice brunch recipe. So let me show you the ingredients and how to put it together. It's really easy. Here's the ingredients we're going to use. Some garlic powder. We're going to use 2 cups of sharp cheddar. This is an 8-ounce package shredded. I have some very nice fresh rosemary, a dozen eggs. I'm using the jumbo size, but you can use regular or large. Then I have 1 ham slice. This is about 8 ounces. So it's already cooked ham. I bought some Italian sausage crumbles, the kind you put on a pizza. We're going to add those. I have some nice green onions, scallions. We're going to slice them up well into the green part and use those. And I have a bag of potatoes O'Brien. Now these have onions and peppers inside. They're frozen. You can also use your own regular potatoes and add some peppers and onions. Sometimes this is hard to find in the frozen section, but if you can either use just the regular potatoes and add peppers and onions, or start with fresh and chop them up yourself. Alright, we're going to layer this in steps of 3 at a time. But to get ready and make sure it goes nice and quick, I'm going to take the 12 eggs and beat them up with a whisk. And I'm going to slice up the onions and chop up some fresh rosemary. And I'm also going to take the ham steak and slice it up into cubes. This is rather thin. It should be easy to have nice little bite-sized pieces. Alright, let me do the preparation. And I'll be back to show you how to layer it into the slow cooker. Alright, so I chopped everything up, got everything ready. That's the key to doing this nice and quickly. I have a dozen eggs here. I'm going to season them also with a little salt and pepper. Fresh grated pepper makes a nice ingredient. A little salt, that's enough, and we're just going to whisk them. Now everything else in this recipe we're going to layer in thirds. We're going to save the eggs to pour on top. Alright, so let's get the slow cooker started. First thing I'd like to do is just put a little cooking spray in the slow cooker just to make it easier when we're done. Alright, first ingredient, we're going to take the potatoes O'Brien. Now that I opened the bag, I'll show you how they have peppers and onions in this mix. And these are frozen, but we're going to break them up a little bit as we drop them into the slow cooker. We're going to use 1/3 of that bag. So just break them up a little bit as you take them out. And we put a nice base of potatoes in the slow cooker. Alright, what's next? Let's take a handful of the ham. And these are tiny cubes I just cut up out of that little ham steak. Gives a nice flavor. I'm going to take some of the crumbled sausage, and I'm even crumbling that a little bit more, about 1/3 of those. Some nice green onions. Toss them in, 1/3 of our pile. Top it with a little garlic powder. And some sharp cheddar cheese. Now just a handful here because we're going to layer this in too, same way. Alright, there we go. Now let's do it all again. Another layer of potatoes. O'Brien. Make sure you get them all out to the edges. And what we want to have left is about 1/3 of them in the bag. We're going to take some ham cubes. Now that we're in the middle here, I'm going to add a little bit of the fresh rosemary. We'll save a little bit more for the top. Another 1/3 of the crumbles. Another handful of green onions. A little garlic powder. Another handful of shredded cheese. And we have one more round. See how quickly this goes? When you have everything chopped up, you can do this the night before or during the day, so that if you assemble this before you go to bed at night, it can all be ready for you. Alright, let's get the rest of them in there. Have the rest of the ham, of sausage, the rosemary and green onions. I'm going to make another layer of cheese, but I'm saving some to top it off after we put the eggs in. So split this up a little bit. So we have some nice melty cheese there. Then we have the seasoned eggs, all whisked up and ready to go. Let's pour them on all across the edges. Make it all covered very nicely. Sprinkle it all across. Make this go all the way out to the edges, because you know there's lots of cheese in there to melt and get gooey, but we want to make sure the top is covered. Alright, how does that look? You might have thought the eggs would be more juicy on the top, but they're all sinking down in between the potatoes and meats and all the ingredients. Let's put the top on this thing. So we're going to cook it on high for 3 hours. I'll be back to check it, and hopefully at that time it'll be a nice brunch casserole ready to eat. I'll see you in a couple hours. Let's take a look at this. Now this has about an hour to go yet, but I want to show you how the edges are starting to brown next to the pot. And it's bubbling and sizzling, and the eggs are starting to set up, and the cheese is melting, but right there in the middle the cheese isn't melted yet. So I expect in the next hour it'll be just about right timing. Okay, I want to take a look at this now and show you. The edges are nice and brown, but the center, even though the cheese has melted pretty good, it's still a little liquidy. See that when you shake the pot? You want to make sure that that sets up completely like the outside edge. So we're going to cook that another half hour. That'll be 3.5 hours. Use your judgment in your slow cooker, because some heat higher than others, and some have a different way of heating the material in the pot, some from the bottom and some from the sides. So use that as your guide. Make sure that it cooks all the way through to the center. Okay, we'll be back in about a half hour. I believe our recipe is ready to eat, so let's take a look at it and see how it tastes. Okay, let's check it out. Oh, doesn't that look nice? Okay, now this is about 3.5 hours. Again, if your slow cooker is a little different than this one, it'll be more or less 3.5 hours. Also, if you use smaller eggs, it might go quicker. So I'm just taking a knife and going around the outside edge to make sure it's free as much as can be. And then I'm going to just cut into this so it's easy to lift some out. It might not come out like a slice, but it'll come out like a nice piece of, I think it's going to look like kind of like a quiche kind of thing without a crust. See, I'll take this nice piece out here. Wow. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that nice?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to let this cool off a little bit. All right, I'm going to taste this. I couldn't wait any longer, but I want you to show you real close. Look at all the nice tender potatoes, pieces of meat, and it's got the creamy eggs. Oh, let's see how it tastes. Those eggs are actually fluffy and light. Very nice. And then it has a nice brown crust on the outside edge. That's a nice brunch recipe. I really like it. Rick?
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll like it too.
Yum, 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 yum. Ooh, cheesy too.
I just want to hear what he thinks.
Good, hot though. Good.
All right. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon.